there's gonna be lots of little videos that pop up in this edit, so stick with me. But this is gonna be one of the last times that I give you guys a heads up that I'm giving away boards. So this is the one that Kyler, he just got himself in the latest edit that I released, just the previous edit. And he was the first one to comment with the secret phrase that I put in that photo. So somewhere in this video, there will be a board, not this board, because I'm mailing this one to you, Kyler. But whoever comments first with the secret phrase, well, that person is getting themselves a board. Thank you guys for all the responses in the last video. It was pretty amazing, like so many comments, and I appreciate you guys watching and just having fun with that. But I've got a bunch of boards. I mean, not a bunch, I got quite a few, but I'm gonna be giving them away in the latest edit. So make sure that you watch all the way through this video. Pay attention, the board is gonna pop up. Which board? I don't know, somewhere in the video. What's up, you guys? Here we are in my backyard, and I want to talk to you all about how to make your riding feel better to you through soft landings. And before we get into the tips, I want to let you guys know at the end of this video, I'm going to answer some questions and comments that you guys have left in some of my other videos. So stick around to the end, but let's get into how to make your riding feel better. Getting bright. It's really hot. What's up, you guys? Shaun here, and I want to talk to you guys about how to make your landings feel better to you. How can you be more gentle on the water, right? I've been doing this for a long time, and I want to continue doing this. So number one, I try to do it with my board. This is gonna sound like a straight up sales pitch, and that's fine, see it for whatever. But here is what really does it for me. I put a spine on my board. Greg Nelson, I shaped these things, and this is kind of a must for my boards. Not only does it allow me to do those high speed whips where I can get out and slide around and not catch my edge, also with that rolled toe side and heel side edge. But this spine, when it lands like a spoon hitting the water, sending water out in all directions. So this really can help with a board. If you can find a board with a spine, I can tell you, it makes a big difference. This is what I ride. Today I'm on my 144, so here it is. Sponsor plugs! Thank you, sponsors. Can't do it without you, literally. So here's what else. How you land, where you land can play a big part in how much impact you feel when you're out riding. Now, of course, when you land on the downside of the second wake, the transition, also known as the tranny, when you land there, it just feels great. So not only it feels great through your body, what you don't realize, what most people don't realize, is actually has to do with the line tension and what you have to hang on to. So here's this scale that I actually put on the rope, and when I'm riding, I'm hanging on to about 110 pounds. I weigh 150. And when I'm riding, depending on how fast and the board, and there's other things, but it's about 110 pounds that if I'm just standing there. When I cut, more line tension. When I land, it can be more line tension, because how I land has to do with how much line tension or how much I weigh for that moment. Think of it this way. If I go, let's say I stand up here, okay, and I jump off, bang, right? That's a lot of impact. I weigh, if I land on a scale, that weight would boom, go really high, way past 150 immediately, okay? That means if you land hard, like if you go out and you land, bam, right? Say out in the flats or on top of the second wake, and your legs, you don't absorb anything, you're going to weigh way more very quickly. So that means you have to land with whack, and you get hit with not only a lot of weight coming through the board, it's actually a lot of line tension. Most people don't think about that. So if I go up here, hope this looks okay. Don't hit my head. If I land onto a scale in that way, kind of like a ninja, if I land like that, I'm actually going to weigh not as much as the stiff-legged landing, and it's going to take longer to get there. Which means if I do that when riding, if I land with my quads, not my back like this, okay, don't get pulled out the front. If I land with my quads, really absorbing the landing with my spine going straight down into the board, that is going to allow my weight to, number one, stay on top of the board, not get pulled off, But more importantly, it's going to allow me to have a longer period of time that line tension goes back into the rope. Make sense? So think of it. Land, bang, hard. I'm heavy in a very short amount of time. Whack. If I do this, it's going to let my weight set down onto the board in a longer drawn out period of time. Same thing happens when you're on an airplane. When the pilot just lands and you hit, like, oh, it's not a good pilot, that hurt, versus the, ooh, he greased it onto the runway. Same thing, okay? So you really, gosh, sweats in my eyes. You really want to think about using your quads, chest up, handle still, and that allows your weight to go back into your feet in a much longer, slower, drawn out time. And then that line tension doesn't feel like it's such a hard hit. People don't think about that. Hard landings, everybody thinks it's through the board, right? Everybody thinks hard landings through the board, not really thinking about the handle. Sometimes if I know I'm gonna have a hard landing, I get rid of the handle mid trick or right before I hit so that I don't have that extra hit in the handle. So like I said, if you land on the downside of the second wake, it feels awesome there. Sometimes you under jump it, so you land on top of the second wake, use your quads there. If you go past the second wake where you're landing in the flat, some boats will even have a little bit of an uphill. That is not good. It doesn't feel great, not only because of that, let's say it's not even uphill, it's just flat. It's like this hard landing. It's not just the flat water that hurts, it's because you're straight behind the boat in that direct line of pull. So if I'm doing big tricks, let's say I'm trying to send a railie as big and as far out into the flats as I can, what I'm going to do, the reason I'm going so far out there, number one, it's fun to fly, but I'm actually trying to get ahead of the pull. My speed is going so much faster than the boat, I swing myself like a pendulum out past that direct line of pull and I can get ahead of the rope. So when I land, all I'm feeling is the impact through the water, not in the handle. Does that make sense? Well, hopefully it makes sense for you guys. I just want you to be aware, when you're riding, think, use your legs, keep the handle still, don't use your back, and definitely don't just stiff leg it. Guys, so let's answer some questions and comments. Wake life. You want to know what speed do you typically need to go? I don't know if it's just the video, but it looks a lot faster than I wake surf. Everybody's going to be a little bit different on their boat speed. But 11.2 is generally where I'm going to surf. If you get into shallow water, you can actually cheat it. If you go across like 8 feet of water, if you back it down into the low 10s with like a G23, you can cheat it sometimes. But most people are going to surf in the low 11s. Paragon, I'm surfing a little bit faster, like 11.5. I don't have Paragon yet, but maybe one day. But this G23 is loving it. So 11.2 is where I surf. Stuart Albert, will you make a short video explaining why people are sizing up their boards? I'm assuming it's from the bigger wakes, but a 138 used to be normal, and now I hear everyone's riding 144s. Has the width changed over the years? So sizing up, a lot of people ask that, and I see a lot of people riding boards that are too small. Here's why I think it's really gone down. Boards in the past, when they got up into like the mid 140s, they began to get really heavy, and so a 145 would just feel like a tank. But since we've been able to get the materials lighter, we can make boards bigger and not feel as heavy. So here's the benefit to that. When you have more surface area underneath you, it's more to push you up into the air. It's also more stable landings. So much that when I rode my 134, I tried riding my normal stance, and when I was landing, I would loop out because there was not much distance between my back foot and the tail, or vice versa from riding switch. And so I was actually looping out. I found out that if I put my stance in narrower, I could kind of cheat it and ride a 34, but it felt like I was just on such a tiny board. Maybe one day I'll do an edit and try out all the different sizes to really show you guys like what I think at the moment. But generally I'm gonna ride a 139 as the shortest, and my 144 is what I'm riding today. So people are thinking, well, I don't want to be on such a big board that the thing is just massive and oversized to where I feel like I've got an RV underneath me and I can't manage it in the air, right? That's what most people are thinking. You'd really be surprised. I've seen people that are not even 6 foot riding my 150 and they're loving it. So don't be afraid to size up. If you're anywhere near 6 foot, you should be, I think, at least on a 144. If you're past 6 foot, get on a 150. You won't regret it. I really see a lot of people loving that. Franklin Mireless. Dope video. I'm new to this, but at 809, how can you perform that? You're talking about in the video that I did with Dave AV, where I get ahead of the boat and then I go down into the water. I go into a side slide and I essentially get ahead of the boat so much that when I finally stop, the boat is still not caught up to me. I go underwater and then I shoot out of the water. It's kind of fun. Sometimes it doesn't work out. The Aviator 06. Hi Shaun, are there gators in the lake? Everybody wants to know, are there alligators? You guys are crazy. I thought the same thing before I lived down in Central Florida. I was like, there's gators. How do you guys get out in the water? To answer your question, are there gators? Yes. Do we worry about them? No, not really, because they don't want anything to do with you. If you ever see a gator in the lake, you can kind of get quiet and see if you can idle up over to it, but by the time you get anywhere near it, like 200 feet from it, the thing goes down under water, and by the time it pops up, it's super far gone. Matthew Gravel, or Gravel. Matthew, it's M-A-T-H-I-E-U, Gravel. What do you mean by lean against the line? You're talking about this video, and what you're asking about is leaning against the line. It's something that I've really started to instruct people in. And a lot of times, here's an example, toe side especially. When people jump toe side, or they attempt to jump toe side, the reason it feels so sketchy, number one, you're crossed up against the line, but number two, when you get to the wake, it feels like you're getting tripped out the front a lot of times, and people generally know what I'm talking about if you try to jump toe side. The reason that happens is because we tend to lean at the wake rather than against the line, especially on toe side. It'll even happen on heel side. You'll see people on heel side jump and go out the front so that their nose tips down and they go out the front. That's happening because they're actually leaning ahead of the line, trying to lean in the direction they're trying to go. I get it, it happens, but both heel side and toe side lean against the line. Heel side, shoulder straight back. Toe side, it's the back shoulder leaning against the line, not at the wake. If you do that, that actually gets the board between you and the pull, but it actually gives you a lot more support and power. So leaning against the line, Matthew, is that you want to lean directly against the rope. Don't lean in the direction that you want to go as much. Ryan Shimabukuro, what's up, man? Ryan Shima, I looked up the definition of fun today and your picture came up. Shaun, love the video and pumped to see how much your kids love spending time on the water along with the entire family. Awesome. Hey, that's just an awesome comment. Ryan, you've been around the sport for a long time, just as long as I have, if not longer, and love seeing you just in all your participation online and bringing up a bunch of Hall of Fame stuff. And so appreciate that, and all the best in your speed skating coaching. Olympic speed skating coach, Ryan. Troy Milne. Would like to see the fuel system more closely. How is it getting into the boat? A hose? Thanks. By the way, our legs are still frozen solid. Sorry about that. Here's the fuel system. Let me show you. Kobe's drop and fill. Okay, it's out of here. Goes out the hose. And this is actually version 1. I just found out when I looked online. I saw that they've got a new one, but this is working great. So Troy, if you look in the description of that video that you watched where you saw it, I put a link in there and you can go check them out for yourself. This is not like a endorsement or anything. Kobe's just a buddy of mine. He actually introduced me to my wife. He was my roommate, so I wanted to give him and Tara a shout out. So there you have it. I do read the questions, the comments, and things like that are below. So keep doing it. Keep throwing them out there. I do appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and enjoy your ride. Peace. How do I turn this thing off? Just kidding.